You can see that the oldest one is in 1981, Japan. What do you see there? That the total consolidation of 8.4 percentage points of primary budget deficit reduction in 2 years gives us an average of 4.2% per year. This is the largest fiscal consolidation for Greece. Greece, you see it at the top, right? At the top you see at 4.2, this is the largest fiscal consolidation that has been attempted in any Western country. Clearly, it has a cost, okay? And clearly, it correlates with the depth of the recession. But it is not a fiscal consolidation that is in vain. We have brought down a public deficit of 15.8% down to levels that are sustainable, that are under control.
Your numbers are not correct, sir.
They are absolutely correct.
You know that there is an investigation.
To give me
you cannot present false numbers, sir. There are people going to go to jail for the percentage of government deficit that you present for 2009, and you know what is happening. So you can't tell lies to people here.
Again, I said.
Let's discuss the issue during the discussion, please. And I am open to discuss this, and we can handle the question without having so aggressive.
Yes, let us finish this presentation. If you can contain your reaction, I'll be through in less than 3 minutes, okay? And then we can have a discussion on whatever you like, okay?
But also, I'm a Greek immigrant. I'm not like the immigrants, like the cleaners or something, but I'm a Greek immigrant, and I'm here because of the policies of Mr. Giannitsis and his party and the other parties in Greece the last years. Because if he hadn't done what he had done the previous years, I wouldn't have to be here and stand at this moment. And I would like to say that we heard a very nice story and presentation of things, which of course some of the things, as I said before, are not valid, because the government deficit was not 15.8% in 2009, but it was made 15.8% so that Greece can apply for IMF help. But that's only a tiny detail. The speakers spoke about reform and nice things, and said that there is a tough adjustment, but a tough adjustment for whom? And growth also, and growth for whom? Where fiscal adjustment and adjustment in general, because it's not only fiscal adjustment is for a part of the society. It's for a part of the society that faces the 21% unemployment, that faces the increased poverty, faces the lower salaries. And let me give you numbers, because the speakers avoided to give you numbers. A newly hired teacher who has studied at least 4 years in the university is receiving a net salary of 560 euros. Now I invite everybody here to tell me who can live on this salary. The unemployment benefit, which in Greece is a flat rate for 1 year, now with the new reform, nice name, reform, will be reduced to 360 euros. Which person in this room can live on this salary, on this benefit? And I can go on and on, because on the one side there are people who are hurt by this, but there are people who gain from this, because since the beginning of not of the crisis, but since the introduction of the euro, there are hundreds of millions of billions of euros that rich Greeks have brought to Switzerland. And when I hear about tax reform, I laugh, because tax reform in Greece is a joke. Taxes in Greece are regressive. All over the world, in the Netherlands as well, for example, are progressive. Well, in Greece they are regressive. If you see at the moment the actual tax rate that the companies pay, the effective tax rate is no more than 7.8%. Now, the ship owners, they don't pay a single cent tax. A single cent. If you, on the other hand, are an old lady and you're receiving a 500 euros pension, and you happen to own a house in your village from 50 years ago, you have to pay maybe 300, 400 euros property tax. Now, who can afford it? Who can afford it? My point is that reform had victims and had people gaining from it. And this is the growth that they plan as well. They promised growth for 2011. In 2010, when the first package was applied, Mr. Giannitsis and his party and his prime minister said that there will be growth in 2011. That's what they told the Greek people. From 2011, they told us in the previous austerity package, they told us there will be growth for 2012. And now we are talking about 2015 and things like that. I agree to one thing on Mr. Giannitsis, and I close from that. The majority of the Greek people want change, but they don't want the change that you and the puppet government that you are sitting in, because it's not elected by anybody in Greece. They want you, your government, and the whole political system to step aside.
Product, you are specialized in products and services with low price elasticity. The increase of the euro means that it is more expensive for many people in the world, but they will buy much more than if you try to sell your shirts abroad and you have your prices 10% up because the currency appreciation.
Okay, we come at the end of this. I'm sorry.
Are you ignoring me, Mr.
I'm not.
I've been raising my hand since the beginning, and
I know,
I've
it's
had four speakers
important
asking questions before me.
No, I haven't ignored you. I've just followed the line as I can see it from here. It's 2:15. We're at the end of this. If you have a very brief remark, that's the final one we can take. But then it has to be very brief.
We have 3 more
Please
meetings,
stay there.
Chair.
What is your name? No, final remark. Please stay there. What's your name?
Stay here.
Yes, please.
I'm not going to.
He's not a terrorist.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. But
But brief.
I
Yes,
have a
please.
small comment on your introduction to the speaker, Mr. Giannitsis. When you introduced him, you forgot to mention that he absolutely lacks democratic legitimacy. He only has the support of the parliament that does
Okay,
not...
thank you.
What is this?
You will say,
this is not a democratic.
Sorry, the comment is that it's not democratic.
It's not correct.
I said it was a caretaker government.
Excuse me?
He said it was a caretaker government. That is what I said. We all know in Europe what that means.
No.
But please.
I'm saying that we
Yes.
do not. I'm just filling the gaps that you have missed.
Well, I said it was a
May I answer your question?
No, it's time in vain.
You asked it already. You said may I answer the question?
She didn't pose any
In
question.
this country, you people were very proud of one thing, freedom of speech. And I don't see any one of you defending it right now.
I think you're going a little bit overboard.
I'm
You have
not
said it's a
overboard.
technocratic government. We all know what it means. I said
I
it's
did
a
not
caretaker
her
government.
finish. She
I
said down democratic legitimacy.
I
We
say
did
that
not.
it's a government that
Please.
is not elected.
Thank you.
I'm saying that, excuse me, what
Okay,
are
can
you
I
doing
just
right
pass
now?
the floor to the speakers to respond to the
Can
criticism of the
you take
technocratic?
the floor from me because you don't like what I'm saying?
Well, and you
Exactly.
I said a quick remark, you said it's a technocratic government. That's what
I
we
did
take.
not say that.
Well, I just quote you.
I never
Is
said
your
the word
point that you want to say it's a technocratic
I said,
government, or what is your point?
The Prime Minister is imposed, and please, let me refer to a few facts, because Mr. Pavlov, thank you very much for these facts, and indeed they're not rich statistics, as you said, but I would like to refer to another view of the facts, because there is macroeconomics and there is real economics, the real world, and I will be brief. Unemployment, and let me start from there, has reached 20.7% and 40% in young people. At the same time, labor law is wrecked due to the multiple attacks on collective bargaining rights, as you said, compensation in case of dismissal, pension, minimum wage, and that makes employees slaves in the terms of the employer. Thousands of young people, and we are amongst them, have been forced to immigrate. In the last 2 years, there has been an increase in suicides by 40%. An increase of 120% in mental illness. Today, there are almost 8,000 people officially registered as homeless. There's a tremendous increase in AIDS and HIV cases of 1,250% in drug users and 52% in the general population. And these are Red Cross facts. This is the result of the collapse of the public health care system. And while your government was attacking the welfare state that was already below average, below the European average, you were celebrating the recent haircut, as you just did, Mr. Giannitsis. PSI was considered to be a success. A haircut of 150 billion euros was followed by a new loan of 130 billion euros. So, I will not take more than a minute. So yes, you actually did manage to increase the debt by 20 billion euros. And you also managed to pass it from the banks that had invested in Greek bonds to the European taxpayers. You put it on their shoulders. So looking at these two facts, we come to the conclusion that you did not help the Greek people, since the debt was actually increased, and you did not help the European taxpayers, since you put an extra burden on their shoulders. So my question here is, who were you actually helping? Why were you really celebrating? And you should be able to see, Mr. Giannitsis, that these measures are not working, and you shouldn't be able to see it because I'm saying it or because we're saying it, but because IMF says it in the recent report where they say that if we will miss also the target of 2015, that the state, even if they follow the measure, will not, the public finances will not be sustainable by 2015, and that Greece will need to have more loans for an indefinite period from the EU, from the Netherlands. And you talk about reforms. What are the reforms? You're saying that you haven't, Mr. Pavlovich, saying that you haven't fired people from the public sector, but just the day before yesterday, I heard in the news that the recent goal is to decrease the public sector by 2/5. So firing 2/5 of the employees in the public sector and mutilating, of course, the wages in the private sector. No reconstruction of the economy has taken place. No reform. And you are a member of this government that is doing all this, that is not democratically legitimized, that sacrifices the people for the benefit of the banks, and that suppresses brutally every sign of resistance to the measures. And this discourages not only yourself, but also the people that have accepted you here as a conversation partner and have invited you here.
Very quick response.